Hello, welcome to the How She Made It series, where we are telling you all about what it really takes to become a wealthy woman. My name is Tiffany Scott. I am the founder of You, Me, She Collective, where I help women connect with their own uniqueness so they can create their in demand brand. And I'm also a community builder. I am the founder of sistersuppers.com. Go and check it out, where we create community from women's homes. And today I am introducing you to the wonderful Anastasia Chopelas. Anastasia and I go back about 3 years now. She has helped me in so many ways. She is the scientific healer. She's absolutely incredibly gifted, and she has an incredible story, which I'm going to allow her to share with you. So welcome, Anastasia. Thank you for being here. And please just share a little bit of, obviously, about you, what you do, and most importantly, the journey. I love hearing your journey of where you were as an amazing scientist and to where you are now.
Well, thank you, Tiffany. It's such a delight to be here to share my story. Thank you for inviting me to share my story with your audience. And I also love your journey of how you got to where you are now. And you've just blossomed in so many ways since we met.
Thank you. Thank you.
So my story is that I started as a scientist. I spent 40 years as a physicist and researcher, and the things that I researched, and a lot of people are always surprised that I researched vibrations of matter. That was my topic under various conditions, pressures, temperatures, and I studied a lot of minerals, but I also studied organic matter and things like that. And the other is quantum physics.
Mm-hmm.
And about 20 years into that journey, I got very sick, and I was living in Germany at the time. I was working at the Max Planck Institute for Chemistry as a researcher. And what happened during that journey is that I bumped into a bunch of women, because medical science, the traditional medical science, has no answer for me. So I bumped into this group of women who were into all these alternative healings, and I got to experience Reiki, I got to experience shiatsu massage and foot reflexology and all kinds of different things. And I got invited to a Reiki class, which I had no idea what it was when I first got there, and discovered that I could move energy very, very easily and sense it. All the people that were in the class were really into it. And when I got all the answers right for what am I doing behind your back with your eyes blindfolded, and I could tell them.
Wow.
They're all going whoa, you mean you got them all right? Yeah. Well, so nobody can do that? No. So I started pursuing that, and I got myself well from being very, very sick. I had, I don't know, about 7 or 8 different conditions, including a large tumor and high blood pressure and high cholesterol and pain from head to toe. And I have escaped all of that. And now I am enjoying really great health. For the last few years, I've enjoyed really great health. I still have to be really careful, but that's all part of it. It's no problem. And now, since then, I was about 6-7 years ago, I ran into another healer who started telling me she could regenerate organs and glands. And I thought, oh, well, I have to learn that. And I learned that and started developing my own processes based on science. So everything that I do is all very scientifically oriented. I've systematized it. I'm a research scientist, so I systematized it, and I made it so other people can learn it and do it and apply it for themselves, because for me, it's all about empowering people.
Yeah, I love it. And I think what's so unique and extraordinary about you is that you do have this incredible scientific background. You were a scientist, still are a scientist, and you've taken the woo-woo, right, with the science and really meld it together. And I have to say, when we worked together, it was one of your early beta programs. I was lucky enough to join it, and you were teaching us how to move energy and heal, and we were doing brain healings and body healings and moving this flow of energy around us, and really harnessing that and this was online. And I remember sitting there one day when you were teaching us, and you said, oh, as you were teaching us, oh, and by the way, I'm just doing some brain healing at the moment. And actually, before you'd said that, I was sitting there listening and trying to pay attention to what you were saying. And I was so drowsy and so sleepy. And I thought, gosh, what have we eaten? But wait a minute, I haven't eaten anything. And then you said, oh, by the way, I'm just doing some brain healing on you right now, so you might feel really tired. And I was like, oh my gosh, this stuff really works. It really, really, really works. And then also, you and I have shared hotel rooms together at conferences, and I've watched you and felt you moved energy. I've helped you help me move energy as well. So this stuff is real, people. I really want you to know that. And Anastasia just has this brilliant way of, like I said, bringing the woo-woo back. And I think what's also so powerful about you as well is that you really are dedicated to empowering people to know that anyone can do this. This is accessible to anyone. We all have the power within us, within our fingertips, within our minds, within our bodies to move energy and matter and heal, which is so, so, so important. So for your journey from scientist into the scientific healer, what do you feel like have been some of the biggest challenges you've come through in getting this message out in a bigger way, and also growing your business so you can make money and become wealthy and help more people?
Well, the place where the divine flows into all of us, that place where it flows in, that is where real wealth comes from. Money is no different than that. It flows through us, and it comes to us when you allow it to do that. And, we all form different opinions about, wealth isn't just money to me. Wealth is also health. Because, here I am at age 65 and experiencing the best health ever, right? And somebody watched me bend one day and said, wow, you're really flexible, right? So I can bend over. I do yoga every morning, and I can bend over and put my hands on the floor with my legs straight and then bend my elbows quite a bit. So that's unusual, right, for somebody this age. And none of my joints hurt, which is also unusual. And I don't take any medication because I don't need to. And so people say, oh, you have really good genes. No, it's because I've earned it.
Right, you've done the work.
Right. So all of this, I try to empower people in terms of to look at aging as different, right? We don't have to age at the same rate. We can still experience really vibrant lives for a very long time. And a lot of people think that 80 is the end, right? They say, I don't want to live past 80. It's too hard. But my dad is 86, and he gets up every morning and looks in the mirror and he goes, so far, so good.
I love it.
Yeah. And my daughter, I'm visiting my son and daughter-in-law, and they live in a complex in which her grandfather is here, and he's 90. And he was telling us yesterday, he has 35 grandchildren and 24 great-grandchildren.
Wow.
And he's chipper as ever. And he says, yeah, I think my memory's going. It's a little hard for me to remember all 24 of my great-grandchildren's names.
Oh my goodness.
Right. So I do want to empower everybody, because people say, well, what do you need to, what can you do? What you need to heal? And I said, you need to be alive in a body.
Right. That's simple.
It's that simple. And that people are always thinking that the power is outside themselves. They give their power away to medical doctors. They give their power away to healers, to psychiatrists, and everything. And they depend on them, when they all have the power within themselves to do this. Because if I can do this, like, I just was telling you before we went on the air that I opened up a certification program, and I filled it in a matter of 3 weeks.
Wow.
And it's not cheap, right? It's a 2-year commitment.
Yeah.
For coaches, it's a 1-year commitment, and for healers, it's a 2-year commitment. But but you know, some of the people that are joining it, one's a banker, right? It's because she experienced such a profound shift in her life. Like you, we were sitting at lunch one day and you said you felt the whole room shift.
Yep.
That was your reality shifting,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And things have never been the same since, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Right. So everybody can experience that shift, that opening, that enlightenment, and the ability to move energy. And all you have to do is imagine that you can, because we are complete vibration from head to toe. Everything is vibrating. Protons, neutrons, electrons, and all of our atoms are all just simply vibration. So that means that we are beings of light that have condensed down into what you see here physically, right? So by imagining that we take all that harness, we have 70, you know, some people say 70, I say 40 to 50 trillion cells. Trillion, that's a lot, right? And if you take each cell and turn it into the size of a grain of sand, which is also very tiny, that weighs as much as 4 aircraft carriers or 80 tons.
Wow.
Right. So we have that. That's how much power we're harnessing. And in each cell, we have 9 trillion reactions every single day, chemical reactions that happen in the body. So that is like utterly, totally miraculous.
Wow.
Right?
That's like, wow.
It's mind boggling. But yet we don't harness that. And what I was going to say earlier is that the reason why people stop the wealth from coming in, which is health, money, relationships, those are what I consider wealth. And I feel like I'm utterly rich in relationships. I have good relationships with so many people, good friendships, good family connections, and all of that. And your wealth is in your relationships, because it's all relationship that really helps, you know, bring you the money. It brings you whatever it is you need. And it's also the number one factor in health, right? This has been researched by, you know, over 80 years in various universities, that what factors in people's lives make a difference in their longevity and their health, and number one is relationship.
Yeah.
Right. So we know all that, and we also know that when people say let's raise your frequency, they call it raise your vibration, but I say raise your frequency because that's the proper term. And that's because when you are healthy and happy, you will vibrate at a much higher rate. And we know that it's 70 to 80 megahertz, which is a hertz is 1 per second. So mega is a million. So we're vibrating at 70 to 80 million beats per second. That's what we're sending out. That's been measured in the laboratory. And when you're sick, it's half that. And when you're dying, then it's a half of that again. So it's a quarter of it. And we can raise it just by being happy, meditating, praying, you know, any of those really things that help us come back to ourselves, you know, deep breathing, anything that helps you come back and re-embody into your body, will raise your vibration. And we know that. And we also know that that's what helps get people healthy.
Yeah.
Right?
And so what you're really saying is that we're all vibration, we're all frequency, we're all matter, and the same with money. And if we want to increase the amount of money, flow of money in our life, the amount of love or relationship experience in our life, the amount of health in our life, we just basically need to get happy. And happy can come from meditation, from all many different things, but the happiness needs to come from within, not from the external forces.
Right. We say that when you're internally motivated or internally driven, that's where we're moving up in the vibration scale. And we know that for a fact, just from the measurements. We also know that the heart radiates out, and when the heart is happy, it has a nice smooth waveform, and it's a very high frequency. And when it's upset, sad, angry, it has a jagged waveform and a very long wavelength or very low frequency. So what happens, the reason that we stop ourselves is because at some point and most of it's happened in this lifetime. I'd say probably 1 to 3% happen in other lifetimes,
Mhm.
or you inherit it. But most of it happens in this lifetime. Is that we interpret an event in our child's mind. And I'll give you an example in a second. We interpret an event in our child's mind, and then we set that forward. So we're actually, our whole life is run by this infant or, young mind. And one of them for me was, and it actually was like a recent, kind of a recent discovery, was that when I was young and I'd ask for something, I'd always got the answer, no, we can't afford it.
Yep.
And when you're young, you hear that all the time, and you can interpret it in different ways, but I interpret it as you're not worth it.
Right.
So, yeah, so many. And the other one that happens is you want to do something and it might be dangerous for you, and your parent keeps telling you no, 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 but you still want to do it. Yes, yes, yes. So you get stubborn and you keep pushing. And so that stubbornness gets locked in the body too. And it locks, right? It locks along the two of the meridians. One's the lungs and one is in the large intestine meridian. So it gets locked in those meridians. And so energy just simply doesn't flow through you. And so when it doesn't flow through you, you can't invite the wealth in, whatever wealth that is. And as you are able to release it, and it's really simple to release it, as you're able to release it, get an awareness, release it, basically rewrite your history. And that's the beauty of energy healing, is that when you heal you also heal your previous generations and future generations of the same thing.
Yes.
Because of the quantum effect, no time, no space.
Yes, yes, yes. I love that. So what you're really saying is there's things that happen throughout our life, right, that we may or may not be aware of. Bringing it to the surface and creating awareness around whatever it is that happened is step one, right? Oh, that happened to me. Oh, that could be why X, Y, Z happens. And I'm not allowing the flow of money to come through, or the love, or whatever it is, right?
Exactly.
And it's peeling back the layers. It's bringing up all those things, because it's probably many different things, bringing that to the surface, and then moving through the energy through and dispelling it, expelling it, getting rid of it. And that's where you're a real genius of like sharing and teaching people how to really move that energy, that negative energy away, but also replace it with positive energy, frequency.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the mistake that a lot of people do, is they release it, but they don't fill themselves back up. So then they create like a vacuum inside, and it keeps inviting the old crap back.
Right, right. Yeah. And that's a really key point, because that's so I think that so many of us can fall into that trap of like, okay, I'm just, even if it's a negative thought, I'm just going to push that aside. I'm just going to, no, 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 I'm going to ignore that. I'm going to push that aside. But you also have to replace it with something positive as well. So because
Yeah.
there's a lot of contrast, positive, negative, up, down, all of it needs to be replaced.
Well, even saying no, like, people saying, I will never be like my mom. And then they turn exactly into their mom. That's because they've just programmed it into their cells, because the subconscious doesn't understand never and no. It
Yeah.
only understands the positive. So the way you reprogram it is, instead of I will never be like my mom, you can say something like, but what I want to be is this. I want to be gentler. I want to be kinder. I want to, basically you just choose the characteristics that you want. I want to be more energetic. I want to be more creative. Instead of saying, I'll never be that way, or I'll never be fat, or I'll never be poor. And all you've done is just programmed it right into your cells, because your subconscious hears, I will be poor. I will be fat.
Yeah, and I can vouch for that, because the amount of times I've said never, and it's unfolded exactly in the way that I said that I would never do it, or whatever it was. So as I say never.
Exactly. It's just, for me, I would always tell people, focus on the positive. I've been saying that for 25 years. Focus on the positive. Focus on what you want.
And what are some tips or suggestions that you would have some of the women that could take away from this? That if they're just down and out right now, like if they're really struggling, if the money's not coming, or if the love of the life is just not showing up, or they're up feeling unhealthy, because sometimes it can be really hard to feel positive when you're feeling really sick or unwell, or you've got a acute illness, or the money's just not coming into your bank account. Like, what do you feel like is some ongoing or quick tips, or just to kind of shift you out of that mindset into something positive?
Well, the first thing that I tell everybody to do, even when they come to me for a healing session, is that I tell them to straighten up their spine, get their spine really straight, pull their shoulders back. Just that fact alone will raise your testosterone level by 20% inside of 2 minutes and drop your cortisol, which is your stress hormones. The stress hormones are the stuff that you want to really avoid.
Mm.
And any way you can remove them is a good thing. And so just doing that, and then focus on breathing and count. So when your brain takes in information, it only has 3 inputs. So if you're focusing on your posture, you're focusing on your breath and breathing deeply all the way in and counting, those are 3 things. Your brain cannot take in any excess information. And that's what allows you to get focused inside your body and re-embody yourself. And as you're breathing in, imagine that you're going all the way down to your fingers and toes with your breath, because it you start reintegrating your body and becoming centered. And centered is the same thing as what a psychiatrist says. Centered means that everything is coming from inside out rather than outside in. Right? And when you're centered like that, as you're centered, you will start to feel better immediately and put a smile on your face while you're doing it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because just smiling, so there, our bodies and our spirits are in a conversation constantly. So if you smile, your body goes, oh, I must be happy. And then it sends out all the happy hormones. But if you're crouched over and you're frowning, then your body is thinking, oh, I'm in danger. I better pump out all of those stress hormones and all those unhappy hormones, and you'll get unhappy. So just by changing your posture, you can feel much better inside of 2 minutes. The other one is to get in motion, meaning get out and take a walk.
Yes.
And I know that when you're feeling really depressed, it's really hard to do that. But just to get in motion, take a walk, take some deep breaths, enjoy the beautiful sunshine or even the beautiful rain.
Right now.
Right? So doing those things really can shift your whole mindset and can shift your whole mood, because it actually really shifts your hormone levels. It shifts your biochemistry in really positive ways. And nobody is going to sign up with a program with you. Like if you have business and you're trying to find clients, people are much more attracted to a beacon of light than they are to a beacon of darkness. So before you go somewhere, do that and laugh out loud, laugh, away from yourself, laugh out loud and get yourself into really good spirits, because then when people see you, they'll go, ooh, I wonder who that is. I think I need to go over there and talk to them.
Yes.
And that has happened many times. I need to hire you. I don't know what for, but
yeah, you become an attraction magnet. It's that vibration. It's that frequency again. People are really, really attracted to your light, what you're radiating.
Right. And that, aside from those other things that I became aware of in terms of, oh, I'm not worth it. There was another one that happened when I was 40. I associated being rich with being unhappy in a marriage. So since then, for the last 25 years, every time I started to accumulate some wealth, I would go spend it.
That's a big one. That's a big realization.
Right? And so now I recreated the story that it's okay to be wealthy and happy at the same time.
Yes, absolutely. That's a good reframing.
Yes, exactly. And so this will, you know, there are a lot of things you have to look in your life, like, when did things change for you? What were you thinking at the time? Let's rewrite the story. And people can, you know, I'm putting out content every week. I have a Facebook Live show every Monday at noon Pacific. I put out, if you can't make it then, I put it out on YouTube every Tuesday. And I'm always putting out new videos all the time. I have a regular radio show. Tiffany, you appeared on it. And I have constant, like, every day there are lots of downloads on the, you know, on the shows. And so it's been, there are people that are listening to these messages, the things that you and I are talking about. There's many, many more, like how to get centered, how to clear out your energy field and what the energy field is. You can grow it and shrink it. You can clean it, get, you know, protect yourself with it and all of that. Because a lot of us are susceptible to energy. That conference that you and I went to, we felt totally wiped out at the end.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. The energy in that room.
Yeah, and we just instantly felt better after we moved some energy off of us.
Yeah, and I have to say, I was just in a conference, a 4-day conference, and a similar thing happened where you're in one of those hotel rooms where you literally never have to leave because everything's there. It's kind of like the Twilight Zone. It was scary. And I was crawling out of my skin, like, just get me out of here. And I did those things that you said. I did some breathing. I meditated. I went and grounded into the earth. Like, I went outside and took my shoes off and grounded into the earth, and I got moving. And it helped me so much, so much. So, and it just doesn't have to take that much. Often we resist harder than what it needs to be.
Right. A minute or two is all it takes to just get back to yourself. And another tip is, when you do travel, is take a bag of sea salt with you and put a little handful of salt on your hand, wet it, and wash yourself with it to begin with, because it washes off all the energy that you've collected.
Yeah.
And I do this in every hotel room. And another tip is, you can get an aura spray, right? You can make one, right? An aura spray. You can spray your bed with it and spray you with it. Because if you're highly sensitive to energy, which I'm betting that a lot of your, you know, people that are listening are.
Yep.
So those two little things will help a lot. You can also burn incense in a room.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Help clean up the energy.
Yeah, because there's a lot of lingering energy, particularly in hotel rooms, any kind of conference rooms, that sort of thing. So many great tips. Thank you so much, Anastasia. Now, I know
you're welcome.
Yes, I know you have a free gift to share. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, I have a page that's called The Ultimate Guide to, and I think it's being changed by my social media, but it's The Ultimate Guide to Health, Wealth, and Relationships. And on that page, and you'll be able to access it through scientifichealer.com/action. There's an action guide. And what it does is it helps you find what area in your life out of 8 that you need to focus on right now at this moment, because it asks a series of questions. You write down your thoughts and your answers, and it'll let you know, like, what area is the lowest for you right now.
I love that. I'm going to do that.
Right.
Sure.
Right. So it has the 8 areas are relationships, career, creativity, spirituality, sexuality, financial, your financial health, your mental and emotional health, and your physical health. And it's in that order. So the last one is what you eat and your exercise. Number 1 is your relationships. And I always like to remind people of that. It's way more important to have a great relationship than it is to, you know, avoid a food that might be, like, for me, it's sugar, right?
Yeah.
Way more important, right? So these are those are the things, and there's questions, answers, and then the guide as you go through it has a lot of tips.
Awesome. Thank you. So 2 more questions before we finish up. One is, I'd love to know who, and maybe there's a couple, but who was your biggest influence?
My biggest influence, I would have to say, like, in terms of teacher or in terms of, I think my biggest influence were my two parents.
Hmm.
You know, two parents in life. My mom was confrontational. She wasn't easy. She was a character and a half. And I accompanied her, you know, of course, we grew up together because she was 20 when I was born. And then in the last 8 years of her life, I accompanied her through that whole thing, even lived there for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And there were so many things that I learned by watching this process. And then my dad, who is always cheerful, he's always fun. I don't think you've met him yet.
I haven't.
Yeah, so he's always cheerful, always fun, and you know, he always looks at the bright side of things. And he has encouraged me throughout my whole life, encouraged me in science, encouraged me in my relationship. Because one time he said, well, I think I think you think that your husband is strong, but I know how strong you are because I watched you growing up and I used to call you my little toughie. So, you know, getting that kind of encouragement from him has been, you know, has been really super helpful for me. So I think those two people, you know, I also had a Sunday school teacher that was really good for me. And I had other teachers, many teachers, but as far as the constants go, you know, I was lucky that I got to be 62 before my mom died.
Yeah.
And my dad is still here at 80, his age is 86. So, right. So I still
You've
feel
probably got another 10 plus years. Who knows?
well, he always asks me, this is what's also great at, he always asks me, well, how long do you think I have? And I said, well, you've got at least 30 years. He goes, is that all?
That's adorable.
I know, because he loves life so much.
Oh, well, that'll keep you alive, that's for sure. That's for sure. Okay, and my last question is, what makes you happy? Like, what will get you into a happy dance? Like, what just makes you so giddy with joy every single time that you can always rely on it to like lift your vibration?
Oh, what lifts me? Well, I just get up every morning and I go, oh my God, I'm so grateful I'm here. I get to experience another day because I spent so many days sick that when you know, it was 10 years. And when you go through that, I'm making up for lost time, right? So now I feel like I just have to do stuff because I need to embrace every day. So that, and of course, being with my kids and my grandkids. So this week has been really fun. You know, my little 1-year-old is running around and my 5-year-old, she just is very attached to me. And every night I read her a story and then we do things together. So yesterday we wrote a book together. So I wrote it and she drew all the pictures. and then so today we're going to make a movie together.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, I told her, do you want to be on TV? She says, how do I do that? I said, we'll make a movie together.
You're such a good grandmother.
Yeah, it's just grandmothering is so much fun.
Yes. Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for sharing your time and wisdom with us. I really, really appreciate you. And I look forward to just continuing to watch you blossom and you witness me and vice versa. And we're just on this journey together, the good, the bad, the great, the ugly, all of it. It's an amazing journey and it's not always easy. And that's why we come together just to share our knowledge and our wisdom and the things that we've been through so we can lift and inspire each other. So thank you.
Yes, I love helping be the tide that raises all boats, right?
Absolutely. Thanks, Anastasia.
You're most welcome, Tiffany. It's been a delight to be here. And, you know, hopefully your audience is very inspired to lift their own energy up and to take charge of their own lives.
Yes.